I am now pleased to introduce our host for tonight. Our guest host is Bong Bernardo. Bong is a seasoned business leader and dedicated community servant with over 3 decades of leadership experience. He has served as managing director of Marshall Power Limited in Australia and New Zealand and has held various executive roles at Eastman Kodak across Asia, the Middle East, and Oceania. He also served as a director of the POWERinU Management Consultants LLP, now known as POWERinU Training and Coaching LLP in Singapore. Beyond his professional career, Bong is deeply involved in Couples for Christ, where he currently serves on the National Council and previously served as National Director in Australia. He has led mission trips across Australia, New Zealand, Samoa, Papua New Guinea, and Vanuatu. Married for 46 years, he is blessed with 4 children and 4 grandchildren. Everyone, let's welcome our host for tonight, Bong Bernardo.
Thank you. Thank you, Elaine. And good evening, everyone. And welcome to the special year-end webinar of Power in You. As we close another year and look forward to the new year, it is a good time to pause and reflect. Today, we'll explore how faith and mindfulness can guide us how to live and lead with deeper purpose. How moments of stillness, reflection, and prayer can guide us and bring clarity, compassion, and creativity in our life. We will have a strategic but heartfelt conversation with the founders and directors of Power in You. An opportunity to unlock greater focus, strengthen our core capacity for leadership so that we can drive meaningful results and inspire others moving forward. We invite you to remember, reflect, and renew. And it's my pleasure to introduce the distinguished members of our panel: Benji Garcia, Elaine Cercado, Telma Meneses, June Marfori, and Penny Bongato. To start our conversation, I invite our panelists to share their thoughts and reflect on the theme of tonight and how they relate to it. So I'd like to ask them the question, what does today's topic mean for you and why is it relevant? To start, to get the ball rolling, may I call on June Marfori to share his thoughts.
Hi, Bong. Thank you. You really had to choose me, huh? Well, thank you, Bong. A little bit of personal history. Bong was among the first of my bosses in my 36 years of corporate life. So take it or leave it. He can either take the credit or the blame for who I am today. Thank you, Bong. Well, Bong, that's a difficult question, but a necessary one. You know, when you ask how is this topic relevant to me, I guess, Bong, from two perspectives, as both a professional and as a man of faith, I guess I realize that we truly live today in a world that is characterized by disruption, dramatic change, to say the least. Where, you know, Bong, and I'm sure you will agree, where we used what used to be established institutions, you know, customs, even traditions, principles that have stood the test of time, uh, they're disrupted. It throws you off balance. It has thrown me off balance professionally and even in the spiritual realm. So I realized, Bong, it's very important to be anchored on the timeless principles and values. If I'm to remain true to myself and true to my beliefs, my core beliefs, no, because they define who I am at the end of the day. And so I need to constantly take stock of what has worked for me, help me keep my moral compass, and then I need to leverage on it. That's why I need to constantly remember and reflect. But more than that, I guess, Bong, because the world is changing. What I used to know as trustworthy and reliable, they're challenged and they're constantly changing before my very eyes. So lest I lose faith, then I guess I need to leverage on what I know to be true and noble, and then renew myself and reinvent myself to become relevant, but holding on to what remains true and noble according to my traditional beliefs. I don't know, Bong, that's what you're looking for, no?
Yeah, no, thanks, June. I'm sure the others have something to say about the topic as well.
I'd like to just comment as well, Bong, and partners, no? Because I have something a bit similar to what June has mentioned in terms of the relevance of this topic. So I think it's very relevant because we live in a fast-paced world, a world that is now AI driven, or at least starting to become AI. So it's easy to get caught up with the day-to-day chaos and lose sight of a few very important things that really matter to us. And so I'd like to remember the blessings that we receive. And included in that would be the challenges that we face and be grateful for them. Remember our purpose. Remember what matters to us. Remember what we value and what give us true joy. What's our life calling and how's our journey so far? Who are we with in this journey? So remember our talents, our capabilities, our potentials, and what are we doing with these gifts? Then reflect. Reflect on the lessons, on the learnings, how the opportunities and the actual events of the year have unfolded, how they have transformed us. Have they led us to become better? Have they led us to growth? And have they led us for us to help others and not just be focused only on ourselves? And then renew ourselves so we can continue living our lives purposely and meaningfully and joyfully, as I mentioned. And that might mean renewing our relationships, learning new skills, appreciating new perspectives, experiencing new adventures, and maybe sometimes even just resting and recharging. Okay, so we shouldn't we should remember, reflect, and renew for those reasons, so as not to lose sight of our gifts, our talents, our purpose, our contribution and legacy that we want to live in this world. So that's my take, partners and Bong.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to remember from what has happened from this year, and it's easy for us to just remember the bad ones. But as you said, Elaine, it's good to think about, well, how do we go forward? What do we do from here?
So I'd like to add, Bong, so um, this year has been a very challenging year for me, both professionally and personally, health-wise. And the greatest wealth is health. And that has been my focus for this year. So at this stage of our lives, the many of us here, at least the founders, we are in the latter stage of our lives. I keep on remembering what is important for me now at this stage. Is it fame? Is it popularity? Is it power? I think we've gone through that stage. So I anchor it back to my personal mission statement, my purpose in life, which is to also be able to help others grow and improve themselves and be the best version of themselves. I keep on doing that especially for my students. I mentioned they have been teaching for 17 years at De La Salle College of St. Benilde. I love doing it, and I will be a teacher until they tell me I should stop, and which I hope they don't. So I remember all of the good things that have happened, but also remember the not so good things that have happened. But I look at it as a blessing. There's so many things that we have to be that I am grateful for. The other day we just went to the oncologist and we're a-okay. My husband is a-okay for two kinds of cancers. My husband, if you don't know, Sammy had cancers several years back. We're a-okay, and that's something already to be grateful for. And to renew my faith. Renew. I go to mass every day, twice a day, and give offerings and give special petitions to people who need these petitions, because I know life is getting shorter, and I really want to live a legacy and live a meaningful life, the best version of myself in the rest of from for the rest of my life. So that's for me. Bong.
Thanks, Penny.
Yeah, let me share with you, Bong. I did a lot of reflection lately, and thank you for the question. To me, I'm looking at it from both a personal and professional life. So when I say remember, I reflected back on, honoring the past. In POWERinU, I am so happy that, I acknowledge the founders, the pioneers of this organization, the key moments that shaped our organization while I only joined in 2023. There were a lot of things that truly defined who we are, especially on our values. And those things that we celebrate, the legacy that we're leaving behind or we're giving to our employee, to our clients, the traditions that we have, which is, we're not wealth generating organization. We are really more on the value generating. And of course, the enduring values that we commonly share that truly guide us in our decisions over the last few years. I think that's really important to remember and not lose sight of where we're going given the landscape of the industry. On a personal note, I also would like to associate all of this remembering with how my God, led my life in terms of, from his passion to his resurrection. And to me, I realized that I need to remember what he left us when he s- uh what's this helped us or was crucified and did the salvation for our created the eternal salvation for us. And to me, I reflect that, similar to Elaine, similar to June, we need to remember not only the happy things that really bring us a good smile when we remember, but also the challenges that we face as we have our life journey, simply because through triumph there are sacrifices. And one thing that I truly now embraced is that when I pray, I always remember that I don't pray for, hey God, please take out the pain, take out this. I don't do that anymore. I have renewed my faith and asked him, please allow me to carry my cross. I think that's important because with no offerings, I cannot. There are no sacrifices, so you've got to offer something. And so lately, I have been noticing that a change in mindset to look at things on a give me strength rather than take away that pain really changed my life. And so I am reaffirming my personal commitment to my God, probably inspiring others, especially the young, to renew their dedication to the Christian spirit, emphasizing renewal of faith, community, and service in response to the contemporary challenges and opportunities. And then I apply that as well, that change in mindset, to what I do now in our company, POWERinU. That's it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thelma. Benji,
I guess it's my turn.
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Well, very similar to, no, I shouldn't say similar. I think, to be honest, what I'm bringing into this discussion and even to the formulation of our theme for this webinar is an event that Filipinos are very well aware of what has happened in the recent past with the series of typhoons, the flooding, the ghost projects that are, that really made our people suffer, and the indignation that has happened, that continues to happen with the most recent uh, $1 trillion march. I think it was last Sunday that happened, and I hope it will continue. One, because I think it's a reason for me, it's a reason to really be angry and to be really upset. I grew up in the martial law era, so to see that things have, in the government continues to be the same and probably have even gotten worse is something really disappointing. But then again, you can always look at blaming other people, and people will have to be held accountable. But at the same time, there is also a question of, so what am I doing about it? Because it's always easy to blame everybody. It's always easy to say it's their fault. But then there's that question, and this is the right time, I guess, towards the end of the year to also be thinking in terms of how have I contributed to that? Maybe through some small actions, or perhaps even more of a failure to do something. My share that has contributed or abetted the things that are going on. Because as they say, you can always curse the darkness, but maybe the best way to start is really with ourselves. So to me, that's sort of where I'm coming from as far as the theme for this webinar is concerned.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. It's so inspiring that one thing that I've heard common from the things that you've said is faith, your strong faith coming across. And, reflecting on that, some people may think, okay, faith maybe does not necessarily have anything to do with career and how we run our business. But in my experience, I have realized and discovered that it has. In difficult moments of my life and my career, I have discovered the importance of a steadying force that served as my anchor when stressful issues at work or at home happens. And, I have used scriptural verse and quotes to remind me, to anchor me. Psalms, Philippians, for example, I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. And Romans, if God is for me, who can be against me? And I used to have 30 years, 40 years ago, I found a very nice poster, an old German proverb which says, you cannot direct the wind, but you can adjust your sail. You can adjust your sail to get to where you want to. You cannot direct the wind, but you adjust your sail and you still get there in terms of your business goals, in terms of your professional goals, and personal goals. And so, members of the panel, what do you think? What was the most impactful experience you've had for the year?
let me start.
Aside from
Because,
the flood control.
yes. um, I'm relating it to my journey with POWERinU, because it's something that I will always remember. I'm always renewing it, and one of the most difficult thing that I experienced was shifting from corporate to consulting and coaching. And so that was difficult because I have to unlearn a lot of things. And so during my first moments when I was doing this for our clients, I can't feel the heat. I can't feel the warmth compared to how I would get excited when I was doing things back in corporate. And I had to do my own reflection, even run to my spiritual director. And there's one thing that I truly realized, and I also got that from my spiritual director, that when you don't feel the warmth anymore of what you're doing, you stop, you pause, and go back to where it began. And so when I did that, it's like, do I really want to do consulting? Do I really want to do training? Do I really want to coach? And that's when I started. How did it all began? And I realized, hey, my first job was teaching. So I'm passionate about nurturing people. And so when I realized that, then everything fell into its proper places, because now I know that what I'm doing is not different from how I started. I like to nurture people, the minds, especially the young. And so now that has reinvigorated me, that has given me more impetus to continue doing this. And I think I have more clients now than before. So it's and it's even for our personal, commitment. It's like, how do I measure my commitment? So the biggest thing really is the transformation that I went through. It was painful, but it was worth it, and I'm really very happy about it.
Yep.
I'd like to share mine. So mine is
Yeah.
different. It's personal, but at the same time impacting the other aspects of my life. And of course, that would be the professional, the community, and everything that I do. So I capture it in a phrase, stepping out of my comfort zone. And there are three experiences where I stepped out of my comfort zone. One was working with a new global partner, and she's actually here. I'm surprised you're here,
Oh,
Marina,
hi,
but I'm
Marina.
very thankful and grateful that you're here. Who's our new global partner, and for where I'm based at in Singapore, working with News Global headquarters, and especially with Marina and Avyad, Sarah, and everyone has really led me to step out of my comfort zone and look at things from different perspectives in terms of the potentials and the work that we do in training and coaching and consulting. And that meant as well for me taking new courses, being certified in new things, and doing things that I've not done, such as reaching out to more clients, in terms of the contributions or the changes that we could do to impact their lives. So that's one. The other, stepping out of my comfort zone, was doing a 120-kilometer pilgrimage walk in Spain, which is popularly known as Camino Walk, over 6 days covering 6 cities and towns. And that was a very physical, you might say, activity, but actually it involved everything, all aspects, of ourselves when we do something like this. It's not just physical, it's mental, it's emotional, and most of all, it's a spiritual pilgrimage. And I do have a couple of reflections that I can share later on if we deep dive into the reflection aspect. It's very nurturing, and it's really growing the soul, in terms of the pilgrimage walk. And lastly, during this last few months, I'd say from October to November, it's caring for my father who passed away 29th of October. And before that, I had the most impactful experience of caring for him for 3 weeks in the hospital, and then really maximizing every moment with him before he passed away. And a total of 5 weeks, 3 weeks in person and 2 weeks virtual. And it was really impactful that it has, and it's been transformative for me. And it's a very personal thing, but then again, it affected my perspective and still does. And of course, it all starts there, right? In our mind, in our heart, in our soul. So that's as far as for me, Bong, and partners.
Thank you, Elaine.
I'd like to share, Bong, my most impactful experience for is very personal, and it may not be something extraordinary, but for me it has been extraordinary. For 67 years, so it gives away my age. For 67 years, I've lived in Manila. And last year, around November, December, we moved to the province. You might ask what province? Santa Rosa, Laguna. It's not so far away. It's just 50 kilometers away, but it's still the province. And it has led me to think, Manila is so far away. I don't drive. How do I go to school? Do I still want to do the things that I'm doing? Do I still have the passion to commute just to be with my students? And my answer was yes. My answer was can wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to take the 6 o'clock bus and be in school at 7:30 because I love what I'm doing. And not just that, I found it an impactful experience because it has changed the way I see my life now, even my professional life. Now I'm surrounded with my three golden retrievers, my one Persian cat, mango trees, avocado trees, ampalaya. So I have to say gourd. And a lot of plants, which is not present in Manila. It has changed my perspective as well in thinking of what am I passionate about? Why has this changed the way I view life? Because if you're stuck in traffic, you think of what would I want to be remembered by, or what can I still give, and what could I do at the present moment? And at the present moment, I know that it's easy to sleep. It's easy to watch a YouTube video. What I do is I pray. My morning prayers. I watch the 5 a.m. Mass of Father Kaluwag, and I pray the Rosary. So I renew my faith at the beginning of the day because I know that it is what will keep me grounded for the rest of the day. And my students will be happy that I'm not late. Because when I lived near the school, I was always late. So that's my
Wow.
experience.
What passion you have, Penny. Well done.
For the young ones, the future of the Philippines. Wag na silang mahawa sa katiis natin because this is their future. Right, Benji? No more to corruption.
Yeah. Well, yeah, speaking of what do we do, keeping our passion and our love for the thing that we do, how to sustain it. So, are there any tips that the panel can give? What practices can help us, help you, that others may also make use of in staying grounded, in being able to go through the challenges and the trials?
Ako, Bong, if I may take a crack at it, ano? And Bong, this is not a play on words, no? Because we've asked this portion, we've said that this portion is actually reflect. But if you're asking me what tip or practice, it's actually to be more reflective, and that's exactly what I feel has really helped me a lot. No, some would call it being more self-aware, being more mindful. Uh, to those who have been influenced by the Jesuits, for instance, you might say a continuous self-examination of conscience. But I believe, Bong, kasi that if one is to advance across all realms, whether it is in utilizing God-given talents or appropriating or giving back the care and support that I have received and giving it back to others, uh, I need to constantly be mindful, examine what has worked for me, what have others done to me, what has not worked when I was seeking to encounter others. And more, especially now, recognizing that, and I think it was Penny who said, you don't have much time, life is short, now, especially in seeking to help make a difference in the lives of others. So, makubong yung, just being more reflective, to me, is perhaps the most important tip, because they can morph into a series of questions and a series of practices, such as maybe for some, just before you actually close your eyes to go to sleep in the evening, is, as you're saying your evening prayers and being thankful for the blessing of the day that has passed, you have been maintained and sustained in body and soul. Then you say, what have I done that has helped others or has helped others become better versions of themselves, as Penny would say? Or what have I done that prevented others from being that way? For those of us who are steeped in faith, you might say, how have I become the face of compassion, of empathy? Or if you believe in Christ, then you say, have I shown the face of Christ to others? And if so, how? And how have I failed to do that? So to me, Bong, again, not a play on words, but yeah, to reflect uh, on the practices is to actually be mindful, to look back, and to think of them in actual behaviors, to think of them in actual visible um, um, actions, and say, how have I helped others? How have I not helped others? In so doing, I end up helping myself, because to me, that's how to stay grounded and hopeful amid challenges. Because we all believe, and I understand that for us to be relevant to my, if I am to be relevant, then I have to be relevant to others. Kasi I cannot I cannot define myself only solely on the basis of my own individual identity. My identity has to be in relation to how I help others become much more better versions of themselves, as Penny would say.
Maybe it's a good time for me to add on to what June said. Um, being reflective, I agree with that. To be able to reflect, one has to slow down. One has to learn how to pause. And ironically for me, what helped me doing that is actually getting old, not having the energy to be, trying to do so many things. For me, this year is maybe a redefinition of what you mean by being productive. Having worked in corporate long hours. The definition of productive is very much about, your output, what you've accomplished. But a good portion of my time now is actually doing household chores. We were just kidding about that just before the start of the webinar. So to me, that gives me time to slow down, gives me time to stand up after a few hours in front of a computer, for example, stand up, go outside. If it's not raining, enjoy the fresh air, listen to the birds, or maybe the trucks passing by, whichever. So slowing down, and it's something that for me has become a practice also, as often as I can within the day. And the ironic part of it is this year I've been doing a lot of coaching through POWERinU and other communities or involvement that I have. I've been, I think, doing the most coaching this year than I've ever had in the last 6 years, I think, that I've been coaching. And what's interesting about coaching is that, it really forces you to do some quieting down in preparation for a coaching session, and to also pause after the coaching session to reflect on how that went. So it's sort of helping me develop that practice. It's not perfect. I don't want to create an impression that it's perfect. There are still times that I can be emotionally triggered, but I find that it's really helpful. In addition to hearing mass, scripture reading, reading reflections, which I also do. But on the practical side, I think that's one. And maybe the last piece that I would say is grace. As we know, grace is something you get that you don't necessarily deserve. And I think that's part of it, coming from prayer.
Let me follow you, Benji, because to your question on how do I, some tips on how you can be grounded. I look at BMS, which is body, mind, and soul. For the rest of our career, when we were younger, we were always looking at, just the mind, the continuous honing of the mind, because this is what we are there for. We are being paid for because of what we know, right? And I have always, even when I was younger, I've always made sure that, and this is a tip to also the viewers here, the ones who are attending. You don't just look at the mind in continuing your intellectual capital and all that pursuit to excellence around your mind, but you have to make sure that your body is also healthy. You also take care of your body, the food that you eat, the exercises. If you don't have the time to go to the gym, just at least walk, the number of steps and all that. Do gardening, do something that would allow your muscles to, to move around. So even if you're sitting, just wiggle your feet and all that. So be aware of how your body is responding to aging or responding to bad habits of eating so much or not eating the right food. And then most especially the soul. How do you nurture the soul? And to me, what's important is having a me time with your God, regardless whether you're Catholic or you have another religion. It's very important to have your own time with Him. Just so that to my colleagues who said, you need to reflect, how did I change? In fact, right now, I continue to do my soul, nurturing my soul as well. And I didn't realize that before, when I push back and look at those challenges, I saw them as pain. I saw them as, barriers, nuisance. But right now, I look at it as even Judas. I don't see Judas anymore as a traitor. He was self-preserving. He was doing self-preservation because he thought that probably Jesus would do a miracle and so, show that he's really all powerful and the king. But of course, Jesus did not do that because He was just fulfilling his mission. And so doing something because you think you will get what you want, despite the fact that it may not necessarily be wrong. Some people would just say, no, I'm not going to help you because it might affect me and all that. I'm not afraid of that anymore because I recognize through reflection that that is self-preservation, and that's not what we're here for. So continuing that, honing and reflecting, doing your me time, recognizing that there are things that you don't want to do because it's not the way of your Christian path is, but at the same time, determine whether what you're doing is because you're just doing a self-preservation. That's something I just learned that and reflected that last week. So, continue doing that. And so you balance your body, your mind, and your soul. That's my tip to the people who are here with us right now.
Bong, I have a couple of
Yep.
tips as well. So I want to share a couple of things that we reflected on as we were walking in our 120-kilometer pilgrimage walk, which helped us go through that challenge of walking through 6 cities and towns in Spain. So the first one is, and this is based on pilgrimage reflections by, we had a document, that we got from the church about pilgrimage. And so the first one is always a perfect moment. Okay, that's the title. And so what it says is that this moment or this place is as perfect at it as it can be. Okay, so we have a temptation to look at the next moment to be more perfect or the next place. But actually, and so we get disappointed sometimes, right? And we rush. And what that means is that we rush into something else. We rush into the future. We're not experiencing the moment, the perfectness or the wholeness of the moment. And so, one of the things that I suggest to those who are listening, those who are watching, is to fully grasp the moment. It's as perfect as it can be because happiness is given in this moment, in this place, and it's as perfect as it can be. It's being fully present in very practical sense, and it's really enjoying the moment that we have. The second reflection that we had when we were walking, through the ups and downs, through literally up and down because the terrain was going up and going down, through rocky terrain as well as plain, through the heat, but also through cold weather, was be pilgrims, not tourists. Every morning we would pray before we start our journey. And our prayer was that God would keep our hearts open and loving because a pilgrimage can't just be a tourist trip. The meaning of a pilgrimage is it's an interior journey. Primarily, in fact, it's an interior journey. And I like this quote or sentence, in that pilgrimage reference that we had. Pilgrimage is praying with your body. It's praying with your feet. It's an exterior prayer, and exterior prayer keeps calling you into the interior prayer. I'd like to relate that to life. Life is a journey. It sounds so cliche, but we know life is a journey. We're now here, right now, here in this moment. But, 60 minutes ago, we were in a different place or different state, right? And so what we do interior affects exterior and vice versa. Our exterior affects our interior. And so the congruence of our, just like what Telma said, our mind, body, soul is very important. The congruence of our being and our doing is very important. Yeah. So I hope that helps.
It does. Thank you.
Yes. And at this point, we encourage if you have any questions, just raise your hands or put your questions in the chat so we can respond to it. But while we're waiting for any questions as well, I just got reminded reflect, as Ben, you said, you have to pause. You have to pause. You have to stop. You really have to be able to reflect on something. And it reminded me of the topic that we had in our prayer meeting last week, where we quoted, King David, who united the different tribes of Israel into one kingdom. He did not ask, you know, he did not ask for the one thing he asked. Was, and let me quote in Psalm, one thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. So he did not ask for more victories. He did not ask for more power. He asked to dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of his life. In other words, to live in God's presence. And when I was reflecting on that scripture, I asked myself, well, how often do I really seek the presence of God in during the day? And, you might pray and you are aware of God's presence, you seek God, but during the day you get busy at work, you get busy doing the things that you're doing. It just reminded me to make that pause, to make that pause as often as I can during the day, to just be reminded of God's presence. And if you are able to do that, if I am able to do that, then that really guides me in the things that I do, in the decisions that I make during the day. So it was very important for me. And so that this word reflect or pause, if you take that from that context of what King David has asked for, the one thing that he asked for, to always dwell in the presence of the Lord. Do we have any questions? You can just raise your hands and we can unmute you. Or not even questions, if you just want to share as well.
While we're waiting for the answers, I just wanted to probably encourage the participants to as we face the new year 2026, let's try to reinvigorate why we're here, our mission as human beings. What is exactly our mission? And let's encourage our, rethinking, reflecting. How we do a fresh start? So it's not just about the New Year's resolution, but creating a fresh start on how we look at life, how we lead our life, because it's not yet over. It's a learning journey. If there are other things that we need to develop, let's relaunch new things on the way we do things. Let's engage new friends, because friendship is all about intimacy, and that's the second commandment of God, which is, love thy neighbor. And recognize that the collective effort of human being, agape, is really the love, where we can continue the work not only for ourselves but for others. So focus on how we can innovate and carry the legacy that we have and encounter through other people, and move forward so that we can reach new horizons.
Thank you, Thelma, no? Because I'm just thinking we have very young participants. We have Gen Zs, we have the
Yes.
millennials who are not as faith-driven as us, especially for us who are in our latter stage of our lives, no? And I remember and I'll be very honest, my daughter is doing the Camino walk next year, but she is not very spiritual. And what she told me is, and I'll say it in Tagalog, naku, sasamba na naman kami. Because that's what she feels. It's not in her personality to be very spiritual, so she doesn't see it as something that she needs now. I just hope that she gets to prepare for it and gets the clarity of why it is important. Because I've mentioned to her that Elaine did the Camino walk, and I had so many friends from the Canfield group who did the Camino walk as well in Spain. The young ones may not think of the young ones, ONES, may not think of that. The spiritualism faith at this early age. In their lives, they are thinking of gimmicks and the gadgets and so many other things just to get a good compensation, or just to pass college or get a job. My tip for you is make the most of life. Make the most of life in your body, mind, and soul. Because at the end of the day, you will have your own journey. And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I know it's bad to say, tatanda din kayo. You will get at the point where we are now.
Yeah. You know what, Penny, you reminded me. Sorry, I don't want to hug the conversation, but I just got reminded. I have been doing coaching for Tibet scholars for the last 3 months. And we have done, 15 girls and then 15 boys, and moving forward, we'll have more. And one of the things that came out from that team coaching was that the young see us, their parents, the older people, as having this heavy generational gap. Because when I asked them in your life center, which one ranks the highest and which one ranks the lowest, and they rank their friends as their highest life center versus the parents, the family, and they said in all, all those 30 students that we coach, they said that, the older people do not understand what we are going through. Every time we go through some problems or challenges, they will say, well, when we were young, this is how we do it. And so instead of just, pursuing those conversations, they just go to their friends. So I think that's also something that we need to reflect on, how we adapt to the different generations, so that we can continue to reach out to the young, and not be seen as a barrier to them, but more on, hand holding them, uh, because they need that the most. Yeah.
Thank you. And just maybe to shift gear a little bit and apply the theme that we have to the work, or um, to the workplace. Remember or review what you have accomplished at work in your business uh, this past year, so that you can learn from it. Reflect what are the lessons, including the setbacks that you've had. And then what do you do? How do you move forward? What do you renew in yourself, in your team, in the policies maybe that you need to change, in the practices that you have at work, in the workplace? So these things can, our theme for tonight is also, I think, relevant in the workplace, and aside from the personal space that we have been discussing. Maybe
Bong,
some.
there's a comment from Ava. Ava, you wanted to share
Hi,
by
ma'am.
audio?
Yeah, I'm here in US right now, and it's early morning, so I'm thankful that I was on time. I just want to thank you, all of you, especially Sir Bench. He's been a big impact to me, and also you, ma'am. I've been carrying the book that you gave me, the career shift book. I won that.
From Penny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to share that I'm not yet working here. I am preparing for my NCLEX, and what kept me grounded lately is to be grateful for what we have in the Philippines. And I'm here with my mom, with my pets from the Philippines. I never realized that how lucky I am in the Philippines. You have delicious food. That's the one thing that I really missed. And there's no a lot of vegetable. All the plants here died because of the winter soon, and it's been very difficult being unemployed since February 5. So I'm learning that we can't always have everything we want. What matters is focusing on my goals and not letting negative situations distract me. And I realized that I can keep helping everyone at my expense. Then protecting my mental and emotional health is very important. To be humble, And I always think about that, Sir Bench. Or my next work is to be friend to each and everyone. Don't be so a people pleaser. And then list of full surprises and never expect to appreciate things coming from back home. Aside from the food, aside from the people there, preparing for my NCLEX right now, I stay committed to study harder. Thankful for my health. And most importantly, ma'am, yung spirituality, dito ko po na-realize, it keeps me grounded. And then the church here helped me. I'm so thankful, hindi lang dahil sa blessings na yon, but to make me realize na we really need to be strong sa faith, because that keeps me going through challenges here in the USA, and reminds me that I am never alone, even during the hardest moment. Despite the challenges, I'm learning, growing, and becoming more grateful. Every little thing counts. I just want to thank again Sir Bench. It's worth it, no? Sa mga coaching namin, during the times that my mind is so chaos, and I am so grateful for whatever I have learned from that. And I hope I could still have the webinar soon with you. Sometimes it pop up in my email. I really appreciate it. And if I work, I could share to my institution, to have your company, It's very helpful to have this self personality development through your how do you say that company is nurturing, honing us. Thank you.
All the best to you, Ava,
Yeah.
in your next phase of your journey.
Hopefully I'll be okay here. Thank you, sir.
You know,
Okay.
Ava,
Thank
you
you,
know,
Ava.
Ava,
Yes, ma'am.
you've read my book, Career Shift.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and don't forget your goals, because it's already the end of the year. I just looked at my vision board, and the only thing that I haven't achieved for this year in the vision board is to buy a new car. And my husband and I
Wow,
said,
sana all.
wait. My husband and I said, kailangan ba natin ng bagong kotse? Hindi. So, scrap it. Scrap it. But the other things like socialize with friends, have more coaches, all of them happen. And gratitude is very important. I know my colleagues here know this. I don't know if Bong know this. I'm a senior citizen with a tattoo that says gratitude. Positive thinking, manifest
Yeah.
it and declare it.
Thank you very much, Ava. And more power to you there. Thank you to all our panel members. And Elaine, I turn it over to you.
Over to you, June.
We thank you for joining us tonight in our last complimentary webinar for this year 2025, and we hope to see you again in our webinars and other learning events in 2026. And in behalf of POWERinU, we'd like to really just express the best of this season for you, the best graces and blessings during this time of Christmas. Happy holidays, and thank you very much once again, and we hope to see you again next year.